Welcome to Boy Time Podcast. We're gonna get litty time, yeah. Oh, it's your Boy Time Podcast. Coming in with the slam dunk of a theme song.
Hi ho ho, it's me, Melanie Linsky, back at it again with a new episode of the Boy Time Podcast. And as always, joined by Babby. Paul is gone, much to our dismay. I don't know. We'll see if he'll be back next time. But as we've kind of been covering over the podcast, he's been having some medical misadventures. And the most recent exploit is insomnia. So he is very sleepy all the time, and he does not want to be on the podcast when he's this tired, which is understandable.
No unhinged Paul rants.
I know, which we've all come to know and love.
Yes.
Whenever, I don't know the last time Paul has gone on an unhinged Paul rant, but not going to happen this week, that's for sure. We have a pretty slow week. Unfortunately, we have a slow week. We've had like a few things, but then it was just announced today that the big ol' Nintendo Direct is going to be tomorrow as of us recording this, and yesterday as of the podcast coming out. So we will not be covering that. I believe it is going to be covering games coming out in the first half of this year, which means we are for sure getting a new Breath of the Wild trailer. Unfortunate, we can't talk about it in this podcast, but next week we'll talk about it. So it's a little unfortunate, but it's fine. It's fine. I don't care. I want to talk about it, but we'll have to talk about something else. Like nothing. But we'll talk about that. So I guess for gaming, we always start with gaming. And the only gaming news we have is that The Last of Us PC port has been delayed.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. A measly 3 weeks. I don't know why even take a delay that short. It must be just like a few bugs, because that is not a significant amount of time. Also, it's already out on PlayStation 5, so like I don't know how much goes into porting it, but I guess it takes a significant amount of time because it's been out on the PlayStation 5 since like November, I think. I don't remember when that. Yeah, November, late October, I don't remember. But yeah, now it's coming out on March 28th as opposed to early March, which means that the show's probably going to be over by then. Maybe. March 28th?
Yeah.
Should be over by then.
About 7 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. And we just had episode 4 this week, so yeah, the show will be over. So they're not going to be capitalizing on the excitement. It'll just be a couple weeks late, which is unfortunate.
I'm sure it'll still boost sales.
Oh, I'm sure. But, should have struck when the iron's hot. They should have released it after last week's episode. When everybody was watching it. But, although I saw somewhere that viewership has been increasing every week, which doesn't make any sense. Which means people are just like watching the new episode instead of going back and watching the first episode. Because like episode 3, I mean, that's almost like a little standalone thing. So it kind of made sense for that one to be like a 30% viewer increase. But then episode 4 was another 15%. So it's like, what? Why are people just watching the new episode and then going back? Like, that's not how you should watch this show. So don't do that. I don't know how that works. But
I don't think they probably don't count the other episodes after the first week, and then they just pile it all on for the last one, I'm guessing.
That might be it. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to read those things. I'm not a studio exec, unfortunately. Warner Brothers, if you want to hire me, I can fix a company.
He has no experience, but he'll do better than whatever else you got going on over there.
Honestly, I could probably do better than anyone with a business degree. What even do they teach you in a business school? How to lie? I can do that easy. I feel like everything they teach you in business school is pretty self-explanatory. Like, here's how you set up a competitive business model, like Ronald Reagan used to say. If your
Yep.
business is failing, just do a more competitive business model. And when you put it in those terms, it's actually pretty simple.
Ethics don't count when it's business.
Well, yes,
That's the number one rule.
it's business. There's an old Whitest Kids You Know sketch about that where a rival company sets up a sniper to shoot the CEO of a company. And it's like, it's okay, it's business.
That's
This is
business.
just business. It's business. Funny show, Whitest Kids, you know. Speaking of classism, let's talk about AMC Theater's ticket price change.
Oh yeah.
Whoa, that's what we call a transition. Yeah, so I've actually noticed this kind of already being a thing in similar movie chains or smaller movie chains. I think Greg Marcus has also implemented something similar. AMC is just one of the biggest theater chains in the world, so it's a little different when they do it. But what I've noticed is that people have been getting discounted seats if you sit in the front. It's like, okay, I don't really see a big problem with just that, but the way that AMC is doing it is a little scummy, and I'll break that down. So AMC is changing their ticket prices based on seat location. So similar to Marcus Theaters or like Fridley or some of the smaller theater chains, you know, the value sight line, they're calling it, is going to be the first row or the first couple of rows. And select disabled seats, the handicapped accessible ones, even though I don't think those are necessarily bad places to sit. I don't get that one. I get the front row, but I don't know. Maybe it's just so that you get cheaper seats if you're disabled. I don't know. I don't get the reasoning here. And then you got your standard sight line, and that's going to be most of the seats, and that's just normal price. So that's pretty much where most theater chains have ended. You get your value seats all the way in the front. If you don't mind sitting in the front, then hey, you get a cheaper ticket. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. But AMC took that one step further, and now there is a preferred sight line, which is the middle row seats. They are the premium price, as they described it.
They done gerrymandered a movie
They
theater.
gerrymandered the movie theater a little
That's crazy.
bit. Yeah. So obviously this has been catching some flack a little bit. I saw Elijah Wood, of all people, released a statement saying that they more or less segregated the movie theater, and so that now it's now we have the lower class area like we did in the Nickelodeon theater days, where it's you pay a nickel, you get to go in the poor people seats.
You poor, go to the poor people section.
But then the rich people, don't want to touch the poor people. We'll sit in the middle seats, and that's kind of what they've done here a little bit.
Implementing class dynamics in every state of our lives is very healthy. This will work.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna keep doing this because everybody and their dad has been kind of slamming this decision a little bit.
Well, I feel like nobody goes to the theater and fills up a theater. I don't know the last time I went to a full theater. I'm just paying the cheapest price and then moving.
That is
They're gonna have police in the movie theater.
That's actually a really good point. That yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the last time I went to an AMC theater, and what's interesting is that the AMC theaters did not used to have assigned seating. It was just you used to sit there. Maybe they did in bigger theaters, but AMC did not really get to my neck of the woods. Not really. Like they never really set up one of their like big Cineplex things like they have in bigger cities in Des Moines. So they never really did that. They bought like a small theater chain that was local here, and then they didn't do anything. They just took the sign off that said Carmike and then replaced it with an AMC sign and then did nothing to renovate. Yeah. So we don't have
That's
any of
business,
those.
baby.
That's business. It's business, you know. It's not gentrification if it's business. That's what I always say.
I'm an advocate for a classless, borderless movie theater.
Yes. Well, that's what we had. It's
That's
weird
what
that
we
this
had.
is a weird
They
advocation
stripped us away
thing.
from it.
Yeah. Again, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong if it's like the front seat, because like those are always the seats that people don't want. So if it's like a packed theater, like you're gonna go see the new Avengers movie and it's a packed theater, and it's like, oh, the only seats available are the front row seats, but I really want to go see it. I guess I'll do this, and it's a little cheaper that way too, so that's kind of nice. I don't know. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. It's just having the premium spot in the middle. It's like,
Yeah, that's
aha, hey, the rich businessmen can come in and
There's gonna be like a red like velvet rope blocking off the area.
yeah, I don't know.
What if they started putting the Dream Loungers like in select theaters, but like there's only a couple of them? Then you got to pay even higher price for the ones that recline.
That would be the worst.
I should be a capitalist.
You should.
I can make up so many stupid rules.
I was seeing like people kind of talk about this, and it's like when we're talking about movie theater pricing, especially stuff like this, people can like say, well, you all have to pay, you know, more for like an IMAX or a 3D movie or ones with those special Dream Lounger things that everyone's talking about. But it's like the whole theater has that.
Yeah,
And
it's like standard.
And paying a little bit more for seeing a movie in a different way, I think is more acceptable, I guess, because you're getting a different experience than if you just got a standard ticket.
Correct.
Seeing Puss in Boots in IMAX was maybe a little unnecessary, but it was pretty awesome.
It was pretty sick.
So I'm glad I did that. So yeah, I don't know. It's a little weird. We'll see if they keep going with it. We'll see if Nicole Kidman even she's been awfully quiet on this situation. It's been a little concerning.
She's ruling class.
Well, she is ruling class.
She would be quiet about it.
Yeah. Is Elijah Wood ruling class? Or do you think he's like a C level?
He's petty bourgeois, I would say.
Petty bourgeois.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technical terms.
It was a little weird seeing him in like headlines and stuff, and people were like, Elijah Wood, who is going to be in Yellow Jackets season 2. I'm like, bro, he was Frodo. What are you talking about? That's like the one thing people know him from. It's not because of this upcoming show he's going to be in.
They did that with Bryan Cranston when he went on Hot Ones last week.
What did they say?
Like from his new show, like I don't know, whatever, like
Your Honor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of
like,
saying,
no, that's Walter White.
That's Walter White or the dad from Malcolm in the Middle. Those are two acceptable answers. Yeah. We'll see. I don't think. I don't know. AMC is also in a position where they don't really need to care because they more or less have a monopoly in most cities. So like, even if they're getting like this huge backlash, then like, it doesn't really matter. This rural town only has an AMC in it. So like, what are they gonna do? Go to a different theater? Probably not. I don't know. Antitrust laws are fun.
Real.
So there we go. That's the AMC drama.
Spicy.
Drama. Moving on to, we'll do miscellaneous news, something to pick us up a little bit. We don't usually talk about podcast news, but I thought I'd make an exception because dear friend of the show, Joe Pera, has actually started a podcast. It's been a little bit up in the air as to what he was going to do next after his show was canceled and the HBO Max debacle thing. A show which is very good. I've now watched through it twice, and it's very, very, very good. I highly recommend it. If you are a fan of his YouTube videos, Joe Pera talks you to sleep, or talks you back to sleep, or relaxing stock footage, the thing that he did over the quarantine. Yeah, any of those, you like those, check out the show. It took me a minute to check out the show, but I am not disappointed at all. So please check it out. But the show got canceled, and so now what's he gonna do? He made a sleep podcast, because of course he did.
Let's go.
It is called Drifting Off with Joe Pera. The first episode is out. It is about soup. Yes. It's a little short. I think it's like 15 minutes. But he's working with his composer that he worked with for the show. I believe his name is Ryan Dan.
First names.
Two first names, although Dan is with two N's. So I don't know if that makes any difference. But I've always been a fan of the kind of ambient score that has been accompanying the Joe Pera sleep videos. So this is a very welcome thing. I'm really enjoying it. I really like the first episode. Unfortunately, it's only going to be, I think, the first Sunday of the month. So that's a little unfortunate. But I guess it takes a while to write original ambient music. You can't rush
perfection.
Yeah. Yeah, the podcast description says the podcast will be released on the first Sunday of every month. Sorry it's not more often, but this is the fastest we can do thoughtful, quality work. That's okay. So, check it out if you are a fan of Joe Pera, because this is nice. And the first episode features an interview with Joe Firestone, who is Sarah in the Joe Pera show. So it was nice to get those two back together again, because I think they have a pretty good comedic energy with each other. They know each other pretty well, and they can riff. And it was weird hearing Joe laugh, like, without the voice, because, like, he's just doing a podcast, and it was, like, a genuine interview. So it was a little weird just hearing him actually laugh, but I don't know. It's a good podcast. Check it out. I was listening to it while I was taking a walk, and it was very relaxing, obviously. So, soup. Let's talk about show news. We only have one little bit of show news, and that is the Star Wars Visions. I did not watch the first one, the first season. It was a Star Wars anime thing. Every episode was done by a different anime studio, each their own little anthology thing. Pretty cool. I watched the first episode and I'm like, oh, this is kind of neat. It's like a samurai thing. It's nice that Disney, Lucasfilm is kind of letting the reins go a little bit with Star Wars and trying some weirdo experimental stuff. Not today, but this week we got the studios that are going to be making season 2 of that show, and it is no longer just anime. And in fact, every episode is going to be done by an animation studio in a different country, which I think is actually a pretty G-Nang good idea. So yeah, we do have an anime one that is by Dart Shitaijo. Sorry, I absolutely butchered that. But we also got 88 Pictures from India, Triggerfish from South Africa, Studio La Cachette in France, Punk Robot in Chile. Yeah, unfortunate. Studio Mir in South Korea, Cartoon Saloon in Ireland, El Guiri in Spain, and the one that I'm most excited for, Aardman in United Kingdom. If you are not aware of what Aardman makes, why they make Wallace and Gromit and a Shaun the Sheep.
Ooh, the only good British people.
These are the only good British people.
One of the good ones.
I saw that list and I'm like, I don't recognize any of these. And then I saw Aardman and I'm like, wait a minute. I think I know this one. And yeah, it's those people. They make the fun claymation stuff. Like, well, this is gonna be weird. I would love it if it's like not
Did they
even
do Chicken Run too, or was that a different studio?
I was just thinking of that.
Yeah, I'm like, because Chicken Run's a classic.
Aardman Chicken Run. Yes, they did make
Let's
Chicken
go.
Run. And they were making Chicken Run 2.
Yes. Let's
So-
not forget.
Lest we forget. Yeah, Aardman. They make good stuff. I've been a fan of their stuff, the claymation. I love Wallace and Gromit. Chicken Run's a classic. I haven't seen the Shaun the Sheep movies, but I've heard they're pretty decent. So maybe I should check those out. But my dream for this Aardman Star Wars project is not even a Star Wars thing at all. It's just Wallace and Gromit like inventing a lightsaber or something. That would just be nice. I don't know. I don't know what you do with their style and make it Star Wars because their stuff is very like British. So, and like rural British. Like they like the English countryside.
Lightsaber.
Oh, they could do that. Have it be a social commentary on the British police force.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. So, I don't know. Let me see if we know when that's coming out. May the 4th. Of course. So there we go. That's the only bit of show news. We got those fun things. Something I will probably watch. I'll watch these. I don't want to watch all anime, but if it's all like these different countries and all their different styles, then I will for sure check that out because I don't know if I've seen a South African animated thing, and I don't know what that would be like. I don't know. We'll see. And then the only other thing we have to talk about, I think that's it for news. The rest of this podcast is going to be discussion, or at least the first part of my part of the podcast. For shows, we've kind of been doing a weekly roundup of The Last of Us show. So, episode 4 did come out. We have seen it. What did you think?
It was pretty good. Again.
Yeah.
I feel like, well, this is like, again, like episode 2 and 4 are like pretty, like just story driven in the fact that they're just moving it forward. There's not anything like spectacular that happens.
Yes.
Besides like Tess in episode 2, I guess. But like 1 and 3 have been like the big bang episodes.
Yeah.
But I still liked this episode a lot. I feel like the dynamic between the two is starting to lighten up now, so it's a lot more fun to like watch the interactions between them.
Yeah.
I'm continuing to grow on Bella Ramsey's Ellie. I feel like she's really kind of getting the character now, especially since like we are kind of like in the midst of the game now, and you start kind of seeing the actual personality of this child. So she's gone like from animalistic to like an actual person in the past 2 episodes, which is really nice. But yeah, I love the dialogue. I like what they're doing with the Raider, whatever, the Sam and Henry thing. I was like, ooh, we're going to get that. We're going to get destroyed next week again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, pacing on the episode was really good. I like how they're taking certain situations from the game combat wise and like making it very smooth for TV, but not doing too much of it where it's just like constant fighting for the whole episode.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, no complaints again so far. I feel like it's just very, very solid. I still really like the visuals too. Like it just like the truck driving through the countryside. It's like the game, but like obviously in much more detail now. But I don't know, it feels a lot more, the game feels kind of outdated in that sense, like where it's like here's some downtime when we're like doing whatever, and then like it's like a stupid one-liner between the two. Now we actually have like conversation between it.
Sure.
So it's really nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's a different medium. It definitely has its advantages and disadvantages.
We don't get to see them get pushed around on pallets and ladders all the time.
No, which is
It's a big
I'm
con
very
for me.
disappointing. I was always a fan of the dumpster sections, finding
Yes,
dumpsters,
I love moving a dumpster.
moving it really slow across an entire kind of driveway.
Don't forget starting a generator for 2 minutes.
That's right. You got to do a little mini game. It's not fun to just press a button to start a generator. It's fun to do you have to perfectly
Little
time
reflex,
it.
quick time action.
Yeah, that's fun. That's what you have to understand. But yeah, I mean, this one is kind of an in-betweener, like you said. I do kind of like the. It feels like they're kind of taking the approach to The Last of Us 2 that they're taking to the story of The Last of Us 1, in that they're kind of humanizing the different human groups that are antagonists to some people, but we're kind of also getting their perspective as a protagonist in their own kind of way. It isn't like an old I'm trying to think like the only thing I can think of is like a Star Wars thing where like you see for most of the time you're spending it with the good guys, but every once in a while it cuts back to the bad guys and shows them what they're up to, what's going on over there. But this, when we cut back to the quote bad guys, it's more or less it's just people. Like these aren't just like some faceless enemies, that are, they're all Nazis or they're cannibals. We'll get to them probably. But like
Yeah.
this just seems like an actual like survivor group that is splintered from like the QZ in Kansas City. Got rid of Fedra and now they're just their own kind of thing. Kind of like Seattle in Last of Us 2 without the Civil War part and without the giant football stadium full of people. I kind of like that, especially because the people in Pittsburgh, like they did not have any personality at all. They just liked shoes.
They were just
and they burned people in a big pyre, which we did see. So maybe these guys aren't the best, but I don't know if there are any like genuinely good people. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I guess like Tommy's little thing is like the best out of all of them. I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to think of all the groups we've seen. I mean, it's probably the best. But yeah, it was good. I'm coming around to Bella Ramsey as Ellie. There is that disconnect. Just because, she's not Ashley Johnson, but it's fine. And I thought that this episode was pretty good. It was short. It was the shortest episode by far. I think all of them have been over an hour. This one was 45 minutes. And then it introduced Sam and Henry.
I'm sure next week's going to be over an hour then if it's that episode.
If it's going to be that episode, then yeah, probably. It depends how long they spend with Sam and Henry, because you actually spend a decent amount of time with those two before the big bang, I guess you could call it. No spoy boys here, kind of. But yeah, will they? I mean, one of my favorite parts of the first game is that like underground sewer thing and like finding all the notes that like detail Ish and like how that civilization kind of fell apart. I don't think they're gonna be able to do that unless they pull like a Zack Snyder extended edition Watchmen thing where it's like an entire cutaway to something that doesn't really matter. I guess they did that with episode 3, so I'm not gonna write that off. But like,
I feel like they'll find a way to like do it in a way that's not as simple as like, let's have the characters read dialogue. I don't know. They could do a flashback to just that area or something.
Yeah.
It seems like every episode focuses on some like interpersonal relationship with different people. So I'm wondering if they're going to do that in every episode.
They might. They might. Which I wouldn't complain. It's just like setting an episode aside for Bill. It's like, it's surprising, but it makes
Oh yeah,
sense because he's like
that
a
makes a lot
major
more sense.
character.
Yeah.
Ish, you never even see him,
Hmm.
but like, I don't know. Actually, we don't even know what happens to him. I think the last thing you see of him is like after you get out of there, there's like something etched into a wall that says like, Ish was here. I wish someone else was too. And I think that's the last thing you see from him. So like, we don't know if he's dead or if he's still kicking around. He could still be kicking. I don't know. But
He's in part 3.
he's in Last of Us 3. Neil Druckmann has been teasing it for too long. That's why you go to the aquarium in The Last of Us 2, because Ish is like the Ishmael from Moby Dick. Also, the first note you find from Ish is on a boat. Just saying.
It's all connected.
Throwing it out there. So, yeah, we'll definitely have more to talk about next week. I'm sure. Maybe. Depends if it's the Sam and Henry episode. I mean, it is going to be a Sam and Henry episode. It just does. I don't know if it's going to be the Sam and Henry episode. If you know, you know. You know what I'm saying. All right, the last little bit of discussion, I watched some movies. I didn't plan it to be like this, but I watched 3 movies. I watched M, Z, and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. I couldn't find another movie that was just one letter.
X.
Oh, I should have watched X. I didn't even think about that. How did I not think of that?
World War Z.
The thing was, I watched M, and then I watched Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and then I was flipping through HBO Max, and I saw Z, and I'm like, oh, that would be funny for the podcast if I had like 2 movies that were one letter and 1 movie that had a really long title. So that was kind of what I went with. But that does make it confusing because M and Z are, they're one letter, so it's kind of hard to keep them straight. And I just watched Z today, like a couple hours ago. So I'm not going to have deep insights about that one, but they're all from different countries.
That's the gimmick.
I didn't plan for that either, but it was a nice little surprise because M is Germany, 1931. Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, I think. Oh, I don't know when that one came out, but that one's just Hollywood. 1962, so when that one came out. And then Z came out in 1969. I guess I'll talk about this in chronological order then, I suppose. M was the first movie I watched, 1931 in Germany. They're not Nazis yet.
What they're getting
It's a very interesting movie. It's on HBO Max. You can watch it right now if you want to. I recommend it. I think all of these movies I gave 4 stars or above, which doesn't mean a whole lot coming from me, but it does mean that they're all pretty dang good. And it would be different if other people didn't agree with me. Like, these are all very, very highly regarded movies. M is a story about a serial killer who's killing children. And everybody in Berlin is really freaked out about it for some reason. I don't really get it.
Amateurs.
Yeah, they're all amateurs. There's like four little girls that have disappeared, and they have found some bodies, and so people are like, yo, someone's going around killing all these little girls. What the heck is going on? And as you can imagine, civil unrest follows, and neighbors are accusing each other of being the murderer, and the police force is stretched thin because they're combing all the countrysides trying to find these dead girl bodies because they've only found a couple. And this guy is leaving behind no clues. And it kind of gets to the point where, like, organized crime in Germany is like, okay, we need to get this guy because this guy's out there. Like, these cops are just on the street all the time. We can't do anything. We can't do our crime because the cops are out looking for this murderer guy. So we need to kill this murderer guy. And so then they put up a bounty for the murder guy, and then the cops put up a bounty for the murder guy. And then after that's established, we actually follow the murder guy. He becomes a quasi-protagonist. And it's a little uncomfortable because you're watching him like he's like nervous and paranoid now because he's like, oh man, everybody in the country is like gunning for me, all because I murdered these little girls for woe is me. And so you see him like, oh, he's trying to fight his temptation. Like, he sees a little girl alone on the other side of the street, and he's like, oh, I wish I could kill her, but I can't do it. I'm really not doing this movie justice. But yeah, it's very. I won't go into further detail because I don't want to give away too much. But it's very good. It's a silent. Is it a silent movie? No, it isn't a silent movie. There's no score. Does make it a little bit dry. I don't know how much of that is that a lot of times with silent movies, or movies that old, there wouldn't be like a music track in the movie. It would like have a screen, and then there would be a band that would perform these songs live. So you would get like the film reels from the studios, and you'd also get sheet music. And, for most of the like bigger movies, like you watch like an old like Charlie Chaplin movie, and there has been a recording of those music pieces that has been synced up to those movies. But this is a little, I wouldn't say it's like an indie movie, but it's not like a big studio. This isn't like an RKO picture or like a Paramount thing. This is like, I think it's Janus Films, which also made Z, but we'll get to that later. So there is no score, and there are obvious moments where there should be score because there are long stretches of just no audio, which, isn't a huge deal in a movie that has some music, but in a movie with zero music, it is a little tough to get through. But I enjoyed it. It's short. Like, it's only like an hour 20, I think. So, like, you're not bored. And it's in and it's out, and it's pretty G-dang good. And I've been thinking about it. I was thinking about it for like 3 days straight. Because, like, the end of the movie raises some questions. And also I was contemplating as to whether or not this was a Nazi movie. Which I did talk to Paul and Babby about, and they both decided that it was probably not a Nazi movie. Right? You said it wasn't a Nazi movie.
Nazis were very explicit in their propaganda, so I don't think so.
No, it wasn't like explicit. Here you go. This is your homework for the Boy Time podcast. Watch M and tell me if it's a Nazi movie.
I think you'd be able to tell.
It's not an explicit Nazi movie, but also Nazis weren't as explicit in 1931 as they were a little later. I don't know. I don't know how much of it is... but also, if it's made in Berlin, Berlin was like one of the most liberal cities in the Weimar Republic actually in Europe. It was like, if you were gay, like that was the place to be, was Berlin. If you wanted an abortion, Berlin was the place, baby. They were on that like way early. So it's probably not a Nazi thing. If it came out of Berlin, it's probably a liberal thing. But it's kind of hard to tell when it's 1931 Germany, because it's like, is it? Is it? I know what's going to happen within the next 5 years. So, like, is it?
Probably not.
Probably not, but pretty good. Next, I watched Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. This movie is really interesting. I feel like it warrants like an entire kind of like video essay thing in terms of discussion, because it is insanely like forward thinking in how it treats the entertainment industry and most importantly child stars, which we know like today, like throughout the 2000s and the 90s, and I guess the 80s, if we want to count Mary-Kate and Ashley, we did see like the rise and then like sudden controversies that like a bunch of child stars had due to like pressure from the parents and the entertainment industry and the press and tabloids and all that kind of stuff. It's this huge pressure cooker that maybe isn't the best place for an underdeveloped mind to be in. So like it kind of, I could see this movie coming out like now, but this movie came out in 1962. Is it about Shirley Temple? Like, I don't know. The movie is about a like Baby Jane was like this old like singer act in the early 1900s. It was this little girl and her dad, and she would go around and sing, and she was like the talk of the town. She would like travel around to different cities and go on stage and perform for people, and like they sold dolls that looked like her. And then like we cut to like 60 years after, her sister ended up being more famous than her in their adult lives. Her sister became like a very successful actress, because she wasn't actually in the spotlight during all of the dance things. Like her dad was borderline abusive to her, but she came out of that with like, I'm going to prove my dad and my sister wrong, and she becomes an actress, a very successful one, until she is mysteriously injured. She is paralyzed from the waist down and therefore relies on her sister to take care of her, who during this time was in movies and things, but it was always kind of a thing like, oh, well, if we want to have Blanche, who is like this way better actress, then we kind of have to sign her sister, Baby Jane, even though she kind of sucks. Like, she's a bad actress. Nobody likes her. She's super spoiled, and she's just the worst. She can't do anything, and she's bad. And so then we cut to like 50 years after. Blanche is in a wheelchair. She's being taken care of by Baby Jane. And then over the course of the movie, we see Baby Jane like trying to revert her life back to the better days when she was the star, when she had all the attention. And so like it gets pretty twisted. I'll say that. It's not a movie I would expect to come out in 1962, but I guess Psycho came out around there. I don't know when Psycho came out. It was giving me Psycho vibes. Psycho came out in 1960. So it does kind of give the same vibes. Like, I don't think this movie would have existed if Psycho didn't come out in 1960. Just because horror was different. I'm going to say it, horror was really bad in the 50s. You watch like a 50s horror movie, like the original The Blob, like everyone remembers, like you see those shots from the Blob where it's like, oh, they used like strawberry jam and like miniatures to like pull off this giant blob. Oh, isn't that so cute? That's maybe like 5% of the movie. 95% of the movie is people talking. Scientists talking to cops who are talking to witnesses, and it's all communism. It's all scary communism. That's every single horror movie in the 1950s. That's it.
Well, duh.
I know. I know, well, duh.
They called
But
it the Red Scare for a reason, brother.
yes, and they are in the thick of it. Literally, in the case of the Blob.
True.
And then Psycho kind of came out and is like, yo, let's not. This is not an allegory for communism. Is it an allegory against trans people? I'll let you decide.
In the 50s?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Honestly, I don't know. There is a speech at the end of Psycho that kind of exempts it. I don't want to give anything away from the end of Psycho because Psycho is one of the best horror movies of all time. I love that movie so much. I think you should go into it knowing as little as possible. I mean, like, it's kind of hard because everyone knows the shower scene. It's like one of the most famous shots in probably movie history. And people know, like, Norman Bates. Like, that is a name that is a thing. Also, there's a character in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, whose last name is Bates. And I didn't know if that was a nod to Psycho. It might be, knowing that they came out within a couple years of each other. But, yeah. Watch Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. It takes some turns. It keeps you guessing. And there was like one little thing in the back of my mind. I'm like, how is this going to... There was something that was introduced at the very beginning and it has not like been brought up again. And then like the moment it gets brought up again, it's like, oh, okay. That kind of changes the entire movie. It's like The Sixth Sense, but if it came out 40 years before, which is kind of crazy, but very good movie, very good. The last movie, I won't talk too much about it because a lot of it went over my head because I know nothing about Greek politics or the history of Greece or Eastern Europe in the 50s, I think. I don't know anything, but I watched Z, which is a movie, 1969. It's an Algerian film, which is in northern Africa, but it's in French, and it's about Greece. So there's some weird things going on there. I don't entirely get it. It is a little weird, like, because everyone has Greek names, but they're talking in French. Is this what it's like watching an English movie that is about somewhere else that doesn't speak English? Because I completely get it now.
Except we mispronounce everything and don't care to look it up usually.
Oh, well, they might have been mispronouncing their Greek names. I don't know. I would not be the one to ask about that. But this movie is about like the political corruptness of Greece in the 50s. I it's the only movie I've ever seen that had a disclaimer at the beginning of the movie that said any people, events, anything, if they resemble any real people or events, it's not a coincidence. It's real. It is intentional, and this is a giant dig at the Greek government. It's like, okay, these guys mean business. And they do mean business. They spend like this entire movie like tearing down the like military police in Greece, and then at the end they show the real people's faces and their sentence, and they got like way like the military police that were like colluding with this anti-communist force to take out this political leader. They got like they got acquitted. I mean, obviously, because that's how it works here too, like 60 years later. But yeah, it's all about this. There's this political candidate. He is like a anti-NATO, like he wants disarmament. He's not a communist. He's not a socialist, but he is not a fan of war, and he's like pushing for peace. He's pushing for disarmament, and after one of his rallies, which is very, very successful. It is established that he is probably going to win the next election because he is that popular in Greece. But like a couple weeks before the election, he is murdered. And the police are trying to write it off as an accident. When it is eventually revealed that it is murder, it's like, oh, well, no, it's manslaughter. And we aren't connected at all. Even though the police were like cordoning off people and they just like let this happen, they didn't. They're like, no. So like the whole movie is like an investigation into like this huge political corruption thing that happened in Greece. So yeah, a lot of it it was French, so there's that disconnect. It was about Greece, there's that disconnect. But it is kind of like this universal thing where it's like corruption in the police, which is not something that we have to deal with in America at all.
Nope.
So there's that disconnect too. Yeah, it was pretty good. It kind of felt like a Guy Ritchie movie to the point where like halfway through the movie, I Googled if Guy Ritchie was influenced by this movie. Guy Ritchie did Snatch. I know you have seen. I showed that to you. Meaning it is like very fast. Like the camera's always kind of moving. There's these like weird characters that get introduced and everything. It was not what I was used to at all, especially in 1969. Like I have not seen a camera move this much in a movie like pre 1975. Like I'm used to like cordon off shot, and then it just cut to a different shot. But this one, there was some dynamic camera movement, and I was, very pleasantly surprised. So that is Z. Check out, they're all on HBO Max. I was just scrolling through HBO Max this week, and then I found an old movie. And I'm like, I should watch this. And I watched it. And they're great. So that's it. Watch MZ and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. It's a little collection I've coined. They have nothing to do with each other. Well, M and Z are kind of similar actually because they're about corruption. M is less about corruption, but kind of. M is about the corruption of the human spirit. Z is about the corruption of police and politics. Politicians. Whatever Happened to Baby Jane is corruption of the human psyche. See, there's a connection.
I suppose.
I'll make it work. So that's it. That's it for movie talk. That's it for my segment of the podcast. We're going to kick it on over to James for the G-Dang music segment.
Hooray. Sorry, I'm doing a Greek's politics lesson.
Are you looking it up?
Yeah, I don't have time for that right now.
Is it real?
It's real, yeah. I'm just confused by the political situation in Greece, but I will figure that out.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I thought it was going to be French, and I got excited.
I just found it weird that it's like a left party that like disconnected from the Communist Party during the height of the Soviet Union's growth.
Yes.
Why that was a decision being made.
Yes, it was they made it like very clear. It's like, this is not a communist thing. Like,
that's so strange.
Yeah, and it was weird. And like
Interesting.
But the group that killed him was a anti-communist group.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like a Christian anti-communist group in Greece.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah. It's good. It's a good movie. Okay.
Interesting. I don't think there's any new albums this week. I didn't really listen to anything new. The only real thing to talk about, I guess, is the Grammys, which was last night.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the Grammys.
2 nights ago?
I think it's 2 nights ago.
2 nights ago, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I did too. I didn't watch it at all, so I'm just going to go through the list of things because there's no way I'm watching an award show. No. I will die.
Only one I
don't
watch
even
is
know
the
if there was
Game
any good
Awards.
performances or not. Yeah, the Game Awards is the only acceptable thing.
Yeah.
I guess we can just start at the top on there. their list of winners. Record of the year, which I still don't know if this is like the writer credit
I don't know.
or if that's song. I don't know.
I don't know the
Record of the
difference.
year. Lizzo won with About Damn Time. I don't know why ABBA was nominated in this category. Okay.
What do you mean? ABBA's the best.
Brandy Carlisle also fits on this list every year, like without fail.
Yeah.
I have not heard this Lizzo song. It seems like a pretty safe pick, though, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hard Part 5 was nominated, so obviously I'm going to want that. I feel like Woman from Doja Cat came out like 2 years ago, but it's still here, I guess. Yeah, I'm pretty sure her album came out in 2021 with that song on it, so I don't know why that's here. Whatever.
It did come
album
out
of the
in
year.
2021. June 25th, 2021.
Yeah, June, too. It's great.
Yeah.
Album of the year, Harry Styles won with Harry's House, which is the maybe safest pick in history.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This album's literally like Target coffee shop type music. There's literally nothing special about it at all. It's not bad. It's not that good. It's just kind of there. Yeah, but I mean I'm glad they didn't give it to like Coldplay or something, but
True.
ABBA or even Adele.
Yeah.
But I feel like Renaissance or Mr. Morale should have won, definitely. I feel like they were going to give it to Renaissance, but they gave it to Harry Styles. I feel like he didn't win a whole bunch of other categories, but won the big one. I feel like that was their strategy this year.
Well, he also won Best Pop Album.
Oh, did he?
He did. Well, Pop
Interesting.
Vocal Album.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to categorize that for some reason.
Yeah.
Song of the Year / New Song of the Year. Just Like That by Bonnie Raitt. I have no idea who this is. I have never heard of this person.
It looks like it's country.
Oh, I'm just kind of perplexed by the songs that are in this category. I mean, you have the usual. You have like Bad Habit. The interesting with Beyonce is like she has different songs nominated in a lot of categories, which is interesting. But Break My Soul, Hard Part 5, God Did from DJ Khaled. All Too Well, the 10-minute version, the short film.
The short film.
They put that one on there.
Not that short film.
ABCDEFU song is on here for some reason. So I guess we're just throwing TikTok songs in the Grammys now.
Cowards.
Which is not good, but whatever. Best New Artist went to Samara Joy. I have not heard of her music before, but I mean, that really is a new artist than I was
There you go.
I mean, you got people like Omar Apollo and like Wet Leg on here that have been doing it for a while, and like, yeah. But I don't know. I'm okay with this pick. There's not really like one that I was running for in Best New Artist this year.
No. I know
Best
people
pop
like
solo
that
performance.
record.
Yeah, Wet Leg. I haven't listened to that one. That was one I missed last year, but I think it's just like, good indie rock stuff.
Yeah.
Best pop solo performance, Adele, Easy on Me. I knew Adele was going to get something here. Steve Lacy is nominated in like all of these categories, and he is not getting picked in any of them, which is strange because Bad Habit was
that's huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
Like made his career and ruined himself like at the same time because he hates his audience, understandably. But yeah. I guess. Oh yeah, it's a Bad Bunny song. Okay. Pop duo group performance. Sam Smith and Kim Petras. This is where they did the satanic performance or whatever.
Cruz
People
was
are
not a fan of Sam Smith.
Yeah. There's too much going on that stage for some people. Apparently, I don't know. There wasn't really a lot of like in this category again. I guess I Like You with Post Malone and Doja Cat was nominated, and that didn't even really have that big of a splash.
No. It's
so,
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mid in this Grammys this year. A lot of it.
Yeah.
Best traditional pop vocal album. I didn't even know Michael Bublé released an album, but he won.
Wow.
when your options are Michael Bublé, Diana Ross, Pentatonix, Nora Jones, and Kelly Clarkson, I don't know what is happening in this category.
What is traditional pop?
I don't know. 2 of these are Christmas albums.
Oh.
Maybe 3.
Weird.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, best pop vocal album is Harry's House. Again, like, wow, Adele's the only competition in this category. You have Lizzo, Coldplay, and ABBA.
Yeah.
What is happening this year? Wow.
I don't know.
I don't know how Coldplay gets nominated all the time. Nobody listens to Coldplay.
No.
All right, well. Best dance recording, Break My Soul, Beyonce, Big Dub. I also would have liked to seen Kaytranada win, but I am very good at this. And then best dance electronic album, Renaissance. Obviously, I don't think any of these other records even come close to it at all. Except for instrumental, we don't care about that. Best rock performance, Broken Horses, Brandy Carlisle. I would have liked to see Idols or Turnstile win, but that might be a little bit too hip for the Grammys still.
Yeah.
Apparently Beck was nominated too. I don't even know if Beck had a song, and an Ozzy Osbourne song that I had no idea existed either. So
how did you not know Ozzy had an album?
Oh yeah, that's the one he released. Yeah, I remember that one now. Yeah, it was not. Oh, Ozzy did win Best Metal Performance though.
Oh, good for him.
Degradation Rules. What was us? Turnstile, Muse, Megadeth, and Ghost. Interesting. I think Ghost and Turnstile were the only ones to like do pretty decent albums out of those, but because that Muse album was awful, so hopefully they didn't win anything. Broken Horses also won in Best Rock Song. It doesn't even tell me the artist on these, so okay, cool. Rock album, Ozzy Osbourne won Best Rock Album.
Oh, good for him.
Over Spoon? Come on, man. And Idols? Wow. That's interesting.
And Machine Gun Kelly?
Yeah, why is MGK in this category?
It's rock.
It is, but it's not good rock. Best alternative music performance. There we go. Wet Leg gets one. I would have liked to see Big Thief win that one, but you know, whatever.
Yeah.
R&B performance. There's not really a lot in this one. Best traditional R&B vocal performance, Plastic Off the Sofa, Beyonce. She's winning Grammys for different songs. Usually artists like nominate 1 or 2 songs. She nominated like 4.
Yeah, it's like the only one off that Kendrick record was Heart Part 5.
Yeah.
Which isn't even part of that record.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm glad that she submitted a whole bunch of different ones because like that whole album like has a wide variety. Yeah, and then she wins Best R&B Song with Cuff It. So a different song again.
Great.
All right, here's the woke category of Best Urban Contemporary Album, whatever that means. Steve Lacy wins that one. I think that just translates to black people not doing rap music. I think that's what this category is.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to do things correctly over there.
But
Steve Lacy, yeah, I don't know. They were like, it's just a PR move. Steve Lacy definitely deserves this. Gemini Rights is fantastic. Drones by Terrace Martin was also in here. I would have liked to seen him win. Best R&B album goes to Robert Glasper, which was awesome. I did not expect that at all. I fully expected them to give that to Mary J. Blige and just not look back at all. But big dub for Robert Glasper. He deserves a lot of respect. Rap performance, Heart Part 5. Wow. Yeah, the songs in this category were garbage. I would have been mad if any of other of these songs were. Wow.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Best rap song collaboration, Wait For You feature. Jack Harlow's in this category. And another DJ Khaled song. Die Hard was nominated. Die Hard could have been cool.
Oh, I like Die Hard.
Yeah. But whatever. I'll take it. I feel like Future is the second pick in this category, so not mad at that. Heart Part 5 wins Best Rap Song, which is absolutely deserved as well. There was 2 Drake songs in here that were both garbage, and the God Did song from DJ Khaled and Pusha P. So,
yeah,
Kendrick had no competition this year in terms of songs.
not rap songs, apparently.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Best Rap Album. So Mr. Morale won that. I thought there was more competition this year, but then Drake pulled out, and then yeah, so
Well, that's not really competition,
no. I mean, Pusha T, they were never going to give it to, but they did nominate him.
which is nice.
If DJ Khaled won, it would have been awful.
That would have been bad.
Jack Harlow would have won, it would have been awful. It would be Macklemore 2.0.
For real. Yeah.
Future would be the only other one they would maybe pick, and that still wouldn't be. I'd pick Pusha T for sure if Kendrick didn't win. It'd be cool to see Pusha T win one. In my dream, I would give Pusha T the best rap album and then give Kendrick album of the year. But
Yeah, that's what I would do too.
yeah,
But this
then
is the
everybody
Grammys
wins,
we're talking.
This is the Grammys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Country we don't care about. New Age. What's going on in New Age? Nothing.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I think Samara Joy is a jazz singer because she got best vocal jazz album. So
Oh, okay.
Latin jazz, gospel. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the big categories. I think Taylor Swift won the best music video category. I'm trying to find that one.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, with the All Too Well like short film, whatever.
Whatever she called it, yeah.
Yeah. Assassin's Creed Valhalla won best soundtrack.
Did you see the guy who read that?
Oh, I heard it was funny, but I didn't
He
see
was
it.
struggling. He was like, and the winner goes to Assassin's Valhalla.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I feel like that's the right pick considering the other games in this category are not that good. So.
No. I don't, what even else came out that would even...
It was Old World, Guardians of the Galaxy, Call of Duty Vanguard, and Aliens Fireteam
What
Elite.
are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
God of War came out. That's like the most epic score of all time.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. That'll be next year probably.
Cowards.
Best song written for visual media was We Don't Talk About Bruno from Encanto.
That's acceptable.
Yeah.
I would have liked the Turning Red song.
That was also nominated, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else is kind of,
Yeah.
what else we got? These are all just like...
Did you see the comedy album?
Yeah, I did see the comedy album. That was interesting. I believe the Grammys gave out its first Grammy to a trans person with Kim Petras, and then they also gave it to Dave Chappelle for comedy.
No.
So they're perfectly playing both sides of the aisle. Producer of the year, Jack Antonoff.
Oh, good for him.
Big surprise. I mean, I feel like he can get nominated and win that every single year.
Yeah. What even did he produce this year? Taylor
I don't
Swift?
know. Probably a whole bunch of... Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And then if they want to count like Lord from 2021, maybe. I don't know. The cutoff's weird.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift won Best Music Video, Short Film.
It's
With
music.
All Too Well.
I
like how they added short form. I thought it said short film. Like they added short film just so they could include the song in the category. But yeah, that one, Heart Part 5 would have also been like great.
That's like one of his best music videos.
Absolutely, yeah. Best music video long form was Jazz Fest New Orleans Story. So
I don't know anything about that. Oh, wait, are they talking about like documentaries or like concert films?
it just says long form, but it looks like it's maybe concert films because there's a Billie Eilish live performance. There's a Rosalia TikTok performance in here.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that was the bottom of the barrel. So that's it.
Okay.
This was probably the most like unmemorable Grammys in a while.
Yeah. Nobody was talking about it. I just saw the Valhalla guy, which was funny.
Yeah. It was kind of mid.
Yeah. I thought it was funny that Best Comedy Album not only had Dave Chappelle's The Closer, but it also had Sorry by Louis C.K.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
You have that and then Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
Don't lump Patton Oswalt in with those two. Come on.
Yeah.
It's like the one nice guy in
Especially
Hollywood.
since like Dave Chappelle's comedy special was like half a comedy special, half like old man yelling at cloud.
Yeah.
So yeah, I expect that from the Grammys though. So it's whatever.
For some reason the Grammys absolutely loves Dave Chappelle. Like every single time since he's been back, he's won
Yeah.
Best comedy album. Even for like the YouTube short he did at 8:46, which was pretty good, but it was just a little thing. Like Inside was an entirely produced thing
Mhm.
over months and months and months. And Chappelle wins just for shooting the shit outside his house in Ohio. Granted, it was about George Floyd and all of that kind of stuff, but that almost isn't a comedy thing, you know?
No, I mean it was a really good video, but it wasn't
Yeah.
like a yeah.
It wasn't a funny haha video.
No.
So I don't know. I don't know. I didn't make the Grammys. I think the Grammys, if I am being real, is the most wrong out of all of the major awards shows.
Yeah. Nobody got slapped at this award show, so
Which is unfortunate.
I don't think there was any drama either. They just gave
not
like
really.
the most safe picks for most of these things.
The only thing that was
Besides like
drama
the
was
Sam Smith,
the
like
Sam Smith thing.
demonic performance or whatever,
Yeah.
which is not even like a real thing. So
No, I mean like Lil Nas X did it.
yeah,
Y'all are just copying him.
real.
It's like, oh, you can make conservatives angry by doing a satanic thing
By doing literally anything.
and get free promotion? This is awesome.
Let's go.
Yeah. So, is that it? That it for
I think so.
podcast?
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
Oh, okay. Well, fantastic. Next week, what's gonna happen next week? Well, we're gonna talk about Nintendo. Hopefully. Last time I said we're gonna be talking about a gaming event, it was that Xbox thing, and the most exciting thing was that vampire hunting game that nobody even talks about. So,
Yeah.
hopefully, if it's a little more exciting than that. But also, it's a Nintendo Direct, which means that over 60% of it is going to be anime games that nobody cares about. And then every once in a while, it'll be something cool. Like, here's my prediction, and you guys are already going to know if it's true. My guess is that there's going to be a Mario baseball game, because there's been rumors about it. And Nintendo has been loving pushing out like half-done sports games and then giving free patches over the next like 6 months and then dropping it all together before it's finished. So that's my guess, is that we're going to get a Mario baseball game, even though we just got a Mario golf and soccer game. My guess is that they are going to make another Mario baseball game.
Hockey.
They should. What they should be doing is making new sports games, but they're going back and I guess cashing in on old franchises, doing no work, not getting the studios that made the original games good in the first place, and then just outsourcing it to like a Z-level developer that pushes out something fast that has one gimmick that you name the sports game about, and then you just leave it at that. It's that easy. Mario Baseball. That's my guess.
My prediction is a new Mario Kart pack with 0 new maps in it.
There you go. That's another safe option. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Wave
It'll have a tour
3?
map in it.
My guess is there's going to be 2.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
With one new map.
With one new map. Although, haven't they all been ported? Or have there been original maps before?
There has been 2 new maps, I think.
2 maps out
One's
of 8.
like an ice cream skyscraper, and then I forgot what the other one is. But
And there have been 8 tracks that have been released total.
yeah. Oh yeah, there's like a Japanese like temple looking one.
Oh, like the dragon one that was in the base game?
It's a different one. I forgot what it's called. It's kind of annoying to play, actually. I don't like it at all.
Okay.
Both of those maps are kind of annoying.
Great. Well, it's nice to see that.
They took the glider gimmick and just made it like, let's put everything super high so you can fall off at every corner.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to know that Nintendo's still at the top of their game.
Absolutely.
My guess is that the only thing that people are going to care about is the Breath of the Wild thing. We might get news on a Fire Emblem thing, which is going to get people excited. We may or may not get a Xenoblade DLC and or Bayonetta DLC, which is something that gets a very small set of people excited. A very small set, but very vocal group of people excited. My guess is that we're going to get a Kirby spin-off game that nobody's going to care about. That'll go straight to eShop, not even get a physical release. And to celebrate, what are we on? Are we doing anything for anniversary of Zelda or Mario or something?
Special edition OLED Switch.
Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. They said that it was going to be games that are coming out in the early of this year. So if it was going to be a new system thing, I think they're probably going to save that for this summer. Which the Switch is almost 6 years old. Came out on March 3rd, 2017. So it's definitely due. It's definitely showing its age a little bit. All of the new games that are going to Switch have been cloud versions because Switch can't run new games anymore. They couldn't run new games before, but they just distracted you by being able to play Skyrim. It's like, oh, a 10-year-old game. Ooh. I guess you were able to play Doom, but I guess I'll put play in quotation marks. Because why would you play Doom on the
You can play
Switch?
Doom on anything.
Not the old Doom. Doom 2016.
Mm.
You could play that Doom on the Switch. But that's like by far the worst way to play
Yeah, I
that
would
game.
not do that.
It does not play well at all. Yeah. So, but I did see that Nintendo did release their sales figures for the Switch. It's officially the third highest selling console of all time. It just passed Game Boy. So
Doesn't surprise me too much. So
I think it's number one PS2 or Wii.
I think it's Wii, and then it's PS2.
Yeah.
I feel like 360 is like 4 then.
I think Game Boy was 4. But you have to understand that they also count like the Game Boy Color and like stuff like that. One. It's like the Tetris thing.
They're rigging the numbers.
Yeah. So it goes, PlayStation 2. Oh, DS. That's surprising. But I guess that counts the DS Lite and the DSi. It doesn't count the 3DS, but it counts all the revisions. And then it's the Switch, Game Boy and Game Boy Color, and then PS4. I didn't know that one was going to be that high. PlayStation 1, Wii, PlayStation 3 beat 360?
Really?
This is a fake list.
That's fake news.
Granted, it's not by very much. The 360 sold 84 million, and the PS3 sold 87.4. So only 3 million more. But I know the PS3 Xbox 360 thing is like infamous for having like the PS3 not selling anything in like the first 3 years.
Yeah.
And then like they started pumping out actual games for it, like Uncharted and Last of Us and stuff, and then people are buying the console.
It's weird though, because the Xbox broke after 2 years every time, so you have to get a new one.
That's true.
So I'd imagine that would inflate the numbers.
You would think so. I don't know. Yeah, so a little interesting. It's getting up there. Will they just do another revision so that they can keep pumping this up and then it'll be the highest selling game console of all time? Maybe. They have 30 million to go until they beat PS2, so it's possible. But I think most of that came from quarantine because everybody and their dad was getting a Switch to play Animal Crossing while they were stuck inside for a really long time.
Real.
So, yeah, I don't know. But I do know that the Switch has kind of become like the casuals thing. It's become the new Wii, where it just seems like everybody and their dad has a Switch, even if they don't really play video games. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. If they do have a new console, I hope that they have a controller that actually fits my hands. Because the Wii U is too big. The Switch
Give
is
me
too
Joy-Cons XL.
small. I need Joy-Con XL. Just give me a real controller.
Yeah, or that.
Stop. I hate that Nintendo's always like, we're going to do a controller, but it's a gimmick. They haven't had a real controller since the GameCube. The Wii's this weird remote thing. The gamepad is whatever that is. And then the Joy-Cons are made for 6-year-olds. So, yeah, either make a bigger screen and then have Joy-Con fit on those and have them be like more like Wii remote size, because that would be okay. It's just they're way too small. And making them wider wouldn't help. They would have to be taller, too. So, there we go. That's my Nintendo prediction. I don't know anything about... I don't think we're going to be getting anything crazy. People have been like, we're going to be getting GameCube things added to the expansion pack. And it's like, do you really want that? We've been seeing how the N64 ports have been going for the expansion pack Nintendo Switch Online thing. Do you want GameCube games on there? Do you want to play Luigi's Mansion at 20 FPS with input lag like Ocarina of Time? I don't think you do. But I mean, these are the people who are paying like $25 what is it a month for the expansion pack thing? It can't be that much. How much is it? You know, you play your Nintendo Switch.
Barely.
Let me see. Plus expansion pack is, oh boy, so the regular is $20 a year. Expansion pack is $50 a year. So not $21 a month, as I originally stated. That is half of a year. But, yeah. Maybe we'll get some new Sega Genesis games. That'll make those weirdos happy. So. Those are our predictions for the Nintendo Direct that it's already happened. So it doesn't even matter. But
I sure loved that Nintendo Direct.
I sure did. I am so happy that Breath of the Wild 2 is being delayed to August of this year.
Hooray.
Hooray. This is going to give it the time it needs to become a fully
I'm so
fleshed
glad
game.
they're releasing a video game based on the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Are they going to do a movie game for that?
I hope not. That'd be so strange because it's your IP already, and then you're giving that to a movie studio, and then you turn around and make a game of the movie adaptation.
True. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of that happening. I guess, like, no, that doesn't count. I was gonna say, like, were there apps of, like, the Angry Birds movie when that came out, but, like, anybody can make an app. It's a little different to
Yeah.
make, like, a AAA game about a movie that you make about an IP about your product.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. Any other crazy predictions for the Nintendo Direct?
Seth Rogen video clip.
Oh, I would like that.
Yeah.
Chris
Or
Pratt
who else have
video
they not
clip.
showed? How about a Charlie Day video clip?
I would love a Charlie Day video clip.
I feel like they got to give us something.
I feel like, are we going to get another Chris Pratt racially charged Goombas moment? Because I would like that.
Goombas. I hope so.
I spent my childhood stomping Goombas.
Goombas.
And you know he was looking at every single Italian person when he said that.
Real.
He was watching The Sopranos and just staring at all those Italian people. I stomped those Goombas when I was a child. And now I stomp the gay Oombas.
The gay Oombas.
They're like the Bob Oms. The gay
Ah,
Oompas.
yes. Bombs.
Okay, well, as Mario used to say, bye.